Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today, we got another clip from Raoul, of course, where he's going to be summarizing a new strategy that I have not heard, but this is actually very fitting because I did this exact same thing. We're going to dive into it. It's the Moron Trade. So if you're looking for something to invest in, this thesis might be another strategy to add to your 80-20 don't fuck this up strategy if you're running that playbook. And then also we're going to tap into the single best trade, like what you should really be doing as according to Raoul, so that you can actually outperform debasement. So let's jump into these two clips. First, we're going to start off with how the alt cycles kind of run and how people kind of get wrecked because they're expecting their token to go up and they're playing the wrong game.
It's outperforming big caps and equity markets. We saw all of this, and it's the same with the altcoins. The issue is everybody thinks their altcoin should go up. That's the issue. Is it's like everyone's like, well, mine hasn't gone up, so therefore this is all wrong. It's like you need to have the right altcoins, and I think people mid-curve it. They get so involved in the value benefits of their particular token when really there's one simple thing: is go onto CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap and look at crypto. And we've talked about this. It's like, I'm sorry, but people are going to buy XRP and Doge and Cardano, whether you like it or not, because they're cheap in the absolute term of how much you pay for a token. So people will do that. The alt layer ones that are getting absolute network adoption, Solana, Sui, few others, great. And then somewhere in the middle, we'll see what happens. But I think the middle part is the harder play. Hey, I've got this DeFi token that could be amazing. That's pretty hard. There's some idiot-proof ones, which is...
And that's exactly the strategy that I did last cycle, is that and this leads into the Moron Trade that we're going to get into after this, but yeah, you come out here and then you see all these tokens and you get into communities or maybe some Twitter post or whatever, and you get convinced that yours is going to pump because, whatever XYZ influencer said. And that's the middle part that he's talking about. That's the harder part because there are so many projects, so many use cases, so much quote unquote utility, and you can get into echo chambers and start convincing yourself that your tokens will pump. And then you're sitting around going, why hasn't it pumped yet? And that's case in point for the portfolio that I purchased or created. Yeah, both, I guess you could say, purchased and then showed you guys. So it is still down 50% basically because I put 3,000 in. It's showing cost basis of 25, but it's actually 3. And right now it's worth 2. So this is 18 alts or so, maybe 13, I don't know, more than 10. And if I would have followed Raoul's alts, which was Solana and Sui, and purchased them when he was talking about purchasing them, then I would be up. But out of the ones that I got, I'm not, right? So that's the mid-curve part of the game that he's saying that a lot of people get into playing. And you could get lucky because alt season really hasn't run completely through yet. And again, back to what I was saying on the other videos, we don't really know how this cycle will play out. I still believe we'll have a quote unquote alt season because that's just part of the human nature of gambling and risk tolerance. When you see one thing run up and then you're like, all right, what's the next thing? Let me take some of these profits and roll into this. And then new people come in, they're like, oh, I missed that boat with Bitcoin. I missed Ethereum, missed Solana. What's next? And that's where this Moron Trade comes in, and retail plays this typically.
Big layer ones that get adoption go up a lot and they're less risky. And the Moron Trade, which is always a good one, which is just buy the cheapest thing on the top 10.
The Moron Trade. I like that.
Look at it. In fact, I'm going to show you the Moron Trade now. And I'm not saying that these are moronic and people are moronic for owning them. I'm talking about when retail come in, what do they look at? Hold on, where do I get? Okay, I'm just going to share this. Okay, so you're new to crypto. Welcome to crypto. Oh my God, Bitcoin, I can't buy that. It's $116,000. I can barely afford lunch. Ethereum, well, that's pretty expensive. Oh, but XRP, I've heard about that. I saw some videos on YouTube. It's $3. BNB, well, I don't really know what that one is. Solana, $175. Oh, but Doge, Elon likes Doge. It's 22 cents. And Cardano, I've seen tons of videos. It's 78 cents. You can see what happens because we've all done it too. So that's my general thesis, that the anchoring bias of price is a real thing. And
that is 100% factual. That's exactly how I approached crypto when I first heard about crypto, went on to Coinbase, and then played that strategy. It's like exactly what he said. If you're on Coinbase, you'll see a different top 10 chart or whatever, but essentially you're seeing these cryptos and then you're looking at this number and you don't understand anything about market cap or buying portion of a crypto token. You're just looking at this number going, nope, can't afford that, can't afford that. Yeah, I've heard about this in the news. And hopefully you know what stable coins are so you don't buy that. And then you're like, yeah, with BNB, I don't know what that is. That's almost out of my price range. I don't know. Tron, yeah, that's in the top 10. I'm gonna de-risk and get that. Doge, yep, Elon. Oh, that's $1. I'll buy that one. So like, yeah, you just look at the top 10 and you think that you're de-risking or creating some kind of strategy by buying a little bit of these things in there. And even people that I've onboarded, I think my dad did this as well. I got him hooked up with, forgot what the one is in Thailand, but an exchange in Thailand, and he did the same thing, just like whatever was on that homepage. It's like, buy a little of this, buy a little of that. And that's how people kind of mid-curve it and play when they get into this from the jump. So that's what he's saying. This is the Moron Trade, and you'll more than likely be able to catch some gains on that because everybody's going to be playing that. And those are also tokens that are, solid plays in regards to utility and community and building and things of that nature. So it's like, it's not wrong. And like you said, you're not calling people morons. It's just saying it's the simplest trade or investment to make without having to think. But let's go into the last piece of the puzzle of what the best long-term strategy is of how to not fuck this up and where that framework actually comes from.
Look at the top 10 because you think you've de-risked it. What's very interesting is, I've had this everything code thesis for quite a while now, but generally speaking, the crypto space has understood debasement of currency versus inflation, which is what TradFi thought of. And we've been on this trade saying they need to refinance the debt. That's the whole everything code thesis. And here is Scott Bessent coming out saying publicly, we need stablecoins to refi the debt. Trump saying, we need the Fed to cut rates because we need to refi the debt. The whole game is now open. They're telling you what the game is. And there's still a lot of TradFi people who don't want to understand it because debasement's not a thing that was taught at university.
Is there anything else you find is an investor?
Yeah, real quick on that. That finally just clicked for me, like listening to Raoul and now seeing it. I had another video coming out about this, but about with the Fed Reserve putting out their notes on revaluing gold. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is debasement. This is losing your buying power, not inflation, where just the cost of the goods themselves increase. This is the decreasing of the fundamental money, the base layer, the value of it, just from simple adding additional currency into the market, basically. So debasing your buying power by injecting more dollars into the system. And that is a rate, like Raoul will explain here shortly, at about, when you count for inflation, somewhere between 10 to 12%. And so you need something that can actually outpace that. Treasury bonds can't do that. It's negative real yield. Gold doesn't do that. And the S&P 500 barely does that. And that's like a break even.
Typical asset class right now. Like, I know AI and robotics and these sort of things also have like not dissimilar return profiles, but is crypto just the only thing that you're looking at?
Well, so very simply, what beats the debasement? Debasement's about 8% plus a bit of inflation, whatever. So call it 10, 11%, 12%. Well, the S&P does that. So that doesn't help. Gold does a little bit less, so that doesn't help. So you've only got actually two assets in the world that outperform the debasement of currency. One is technology stocks and one is crypto. When you divide the NASDAQ.
So that is important to understand. So he's like, how do you not just win at this game, but just play in general? So by keeping your money in your savings account or checking account or a 401k or something like that, you are not beating the debasement of the currency, meaning you will be getting poorer in buying power terms unless you get into technology or crypto, like you just said. So there is no other play. And he's going to break down exactly, obviously, what you should be doing, but just let that sink in and see how simple that is. It's like there is nothing else you can do with your money to stay in the game, to play the game. Everything else will cause you to lose in the long run.
NASDAQ by Bitcoin is down 99.997%. So it's like, okay. Then when you put the correlations of the long-term drivers of the asset prices, 97.5% of the NASDAQ is explained by debasement, liquidity.
So right there, he explains that the gains that you're seeing. So when you divide the NASDAQ or S&P 500 by Bitcoin, it's down 99.97%, meaning it has not outperformed Bitcoin. And then when you look at the gains that it's had, the bulk of those gains have come from the debasement of the currency, meaning the buying power that you're losing has just been funneled back into the stocks from what I showed you previously with Jack Mallers and stuff, from foreign investments, because they have dollars they need to reinvest. They're not going to inject it into their own country because that strengthens their currency, and then that weakens their economy. So they have to take those credits, so to speak, the money that they're earning, and they have to put it somewhere. They have to store it somewhere. Same way I'm telling you, you have to store your buying power somewhere. And they were storing it in our financial markets, which is why the bulk, if you take, I think they call it the Mag 7, it's just the top 7 S&P 500, and they're all tech stocks. And then you look at the remaining 493, they're down. It's only the Mag 7 that's up, that boosts the entire S&P 500. And those are all tech stocks. And he's saying here that the bulk of that, so the Mag 7's appreciation, is primarily driven by the debasement of currency. It's not driven by anything else.
And 90% of crypto. So you've got the largest dominant factor in the history of macro markets over the longest persistent period of time, since 2008. So you basically only need to care about one thing, that. And the other side is how fast is it being adopted, which is why it outperforms the debasement. So in which case you've got only one macro factor that matters, which is why I keep saying to everybody it's all noise. Whatever it is, fucking Israel, China, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Because it's 90% of all price movements explained by one factor. And then so just...
You must
that's
really...
the case.
And again, that is a huge mic drop moment. Like, that's why he's saying everything else is noise. If 90% of all price movement is influenced by the debasement of currency, then you need to just own the fastest horse or strongest horse in that race. And yeah, TLDR, for the most part, for the simplest scenario, that would be Bitcoin, where you just buy and hold it and not worry about it. He'll talk about SUI, Solana, because you can get into those and get out or whatever if you time it correctly. But he just explained how, yeah, all the years and thousands of hours of research and thousands of pages of data all come down to this. Everything is driven by liquidity and the debasement of currency. And the only thing that beats that is crypto, specifically Bitcoin. Like you said, dividing the NASDAQ by Bitcoin, it's down. Everything is down against Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only thing that has outpaced all of that. So that's the TLDR. That's where you should be storing your economic wealth and energy. You don't need to put it in stocks, bonds, 401k, whatever. It's like, store it in the thing that has outpaced the debasement of currency. Like, it doesn't get any simpler than that.
It's just buy one asset.
You must be really bored going on these podcasts, Raoul. It's the same. It's like, right, okay, yeah, ignore everything. It's oh yeah, this news has come out this week. No, not important. And
this is weird to me, right? I was never that guy. I was like, to diversify, we need a bit of this, and some emerging market call options, and it's like, none of it matters. If it's crypto, then all you need to do is look at what is the strongest performing chart, let's say on a weekly basis, and that happens to be SUI. So I just own that. You could just own Bitcoin, or you could probably just own ETH, or you could own Solana, and you'll be fine.
Pal's outlook.
So that's the play. That's the TLDR. That's the don't fuck this up thesis. That's the Moron Trade all rolled into one. That's how you win and actually stay in this game. Like he said, if you want to do it from more of a trader perspective, you can look at the chart compared to Bitcoin on a weekly basis and be like, I'm going to get into that. But if you really just don't want to think, Bitcoin has the longest and strongest track record out of all of the crypto assets. and it's definitely going to be the one that will be here the longest. So even though you may not be able to buy an entire Bitcoin, you can definitely just start dollar cost averaging and get out of the rat race and save yourself from the debasement of currency. It's really that simple. All right, smash that H-Wheel special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible.